Good morning, Zach.
What's up?
How you doing?
Doing good.
I like that you still have your coupon code back there.
Yeah, should probably change that.
Yeah, we haven't been marketing these real hard, so I don't know if anybody will even be on. Other than Renee seems to join every week.
Yeah, I was hoping that customer team would take some initiative and promote a little bit, but that hasn't happened.
Looks like you're recording already.
Yeah,
You may want to stop the record.
it records automatically.
Oh.
Frank knows to cut them up before putting them out.
Did we ever go over the custom dashboards with people?
Just when it was new, it wasn't released yet when we went over it, so we didn't get into like, here's how you do it, but
Okay.
one thing I noticed is, by the way, we have people in the waiting room. I just wait until there's a few
okay.
to let everybody in. So what was I talking about?
You were saying you just noticed?
Yeah, I don't know what I noticed. I noticed something. It'll come to me at some point. Okay, we got 4 people in the waiting room. One of them's Fetsy.
One of them's probably Frank.
No, we got Jeff Littleton, Chuck Romero, and Jesse Junkin.
Okay.
Now we have 2 Zachs.
Yeah, why did I get another picture of you?
Because Frank logged in as me.
I'm the real Zach, Bryant. I'm the real Zach. This Zach is the fake Zach. I don't even know what he's talking about.
You better show your face today, Frank, since you're going to be on screen.
I better go change my shirt. I'm wearing the same one from yesterday, but hate anybody to see that I didn't change my shirt. So
I don't think anybody's going to notice.
All right, well, let's
I'm gonna log out. I'm gonna log out, Zach, and log
back. You guys ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Happy to be here with you. A lot of cool things to talk about today. We got Brian, our CEO, with us, and some of the main things we'll be going over really are new updates to the platform. Some of these already released, some of them soon to be released. Get some good feedback and just keep you guys up to date with some of the new things that are happening. So, Brian, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks, Zach. Hey, everyone. I'm going to share my screen here real quick. A lot of what we're doing here today really comes from just requests that we've had. And before some of our larger projects that we're getting started on, we just wanted to hit some of these things that we felt would have a big impact on some of your businesses based on some of your requests. So the first thing I wanted to go over is if you look at this snapshot page, you can see here, this has always been closed units and closed volume, your year-over-year numbers. But we've had a lot of people want to utilize this for coaching their agents. And so we did 2 things to this. One is you can pull up any metric you want here. So for instance, if I wanted to see how GCI closed relates to closed volume, I could see how identical those graphs are, right? So very, very similar. Let me see. Let me take a different one here. Let me go on appointments met. If I want to see appointments met, here's how the appointments that I've gone on relate to how my business is going. So you can see here our appointments are way up here in the latter part of last year, which has caused our business to be up. Whereas here our appointments have been steadily decreasing, where our business has been cyclical and down here. So it just gives you a better picture of what's going on with your business. Now, when you're in one-on-one meetings with your agents, again, this is another way to come in and actually hold them accountable and show them how their activities relate to their business. So if I want to see this for a particular agent, I can come over here and go to this scope. So this scope is something I'll talk about here in a second. But now you can see for a particular agent, how did appointments met compare to closed volume? And you can see, once again, a very direct correlation here. So anyway, what is scope? So a few weeks ago, we actually rolled out the ability for us, rather than having teams, we used to have teams where if somebody was on a team, let's just take Matt, for instance. Matt's on a team, and then he had another team. We were putting him on multiple teams, which was actually causing some confusion as far as if he was jumping from team to team. It was causing some confusion on lead sources. It was causing some confusion on some different activities, things like that. So what we've done is we've made it so a user can only be on one team within each market. So for instance, recruiting would be a different market, or mortgage would be a different market. So essentially you're only on one team. But then let's just take a brokerage, for instance. We rolled out a recruiting platform nationwide with Better Homes and Gardens a while back. And so for their organization, they now have an organization level, which is above a team. And then a team is essentially a brokerage or a location. And so they now have, 120 brokerages in that platform. And then within each brokerage, you can actually create groups. And this is where a real estate team would actually be created. And then you can view the agents as well. So if I'm viewing anything like this, my dashboards, anything else, I can view those at the group level. I can view those at the team level or the organization level if I happen to have an organization, which is where there's multiple teams. And then you can also view that at the agent level. So just to give you guys another example of that, I'm going to come over here to the team dashboard. And then when this comes up, we'll actually see that you can do the same thing for the dashboard as well. And I am in our beta platform because several of the things that you're about to see are not released yet. So once again, here's a dashboard. You can see one of the things that we've done here is we've given you the ability to customize this. So I'm going to jump in and I'm going to talk about this as well. But you can see this used to just have closed units and closed volume for the year and for the month. And now we'll let you choose anything that you're focused on as a team or brokerage that is really important for you to have displayed 24/7. You can display those leaderboards. So now when you hit display mode on this, those will also scroll across here. You can also do that in the challenges or in the gamification, as you all know. But this gives you the ability to put it on one screen, any of those leaderboards that you want. In addition, I can come across here, and once again, I have scope. So if I want to see this visibility for, let's say I have a team of 20 agents and I wanted to roll out a challenge where I had 2 groups of 10 with a leader on each of those, I could actually assign 2 groups here. I could assign that leader a coaching role, which is something we now do as well, as you see here. coaching role gives people the access to see your business, but not go in and make changes to your business. So if any of you have a coach, I know we have a lot of customers that have a Tom Ferry coach, that where that Tom Ferry coach now has access into all of their coaching clients' businesses. So that's what a coach does. But if you set up groups on your team, you can actually assign a coach, which is really your group leader, which could just be an agent. And that agent now has visibility into the dashboards and things of all of the other agents within that group, so that they can help you hold them accountable. But once again, I can come in and I can view this dashboard at any level. So before I move on from that, any questions about that? And then I'll jump in and we'll go over how to customize this dashboard. Frank and Zach, if you guys will let me know, I don't actually have the chat open, so.
Yeah, there's no one, Brian.
Okay. So coming into the admin, and if I go team settings here, over here I have a dashboard now. A couple of things we're doing here, those first three screens, the circle dashboard, the pending one, which is the second, showing all of your GCI averages, and then the activities. If you want to hide any of those, you can come in and just click hide, and that's now going to, on the display mode, that's going to hide that particular dashboard. So that would be the activities. If I want to show that, I'm just going to click show, and it's going to be shown again. We've had a lot of customers request to be able to visualize their display mode dashboards on the web so that people can come in and see those. A lot of these might be coaching companies or just large producers who want to utilize this as a way to recruit additional agents. So again, you can actually say create when this is, you have whatever selected here you want, and that'll give you a URL where you can send people to visualize your dashboards. This dashboard here, if you enable this, what it's going to do is it's going to remove the lead measures, which are really the conversations and appointments from the main dashboard, which is probably not something that many of you will do unless it just ties to a certain integration that we've done, maybe with your some sort of transaction management or e-signature platform that where we're just visualizing your data. And then here's where you go in and choose all the leaderboards that you want to display. So anything that you check here will be displayed in that display mode. And now that's going to be visualized when you go into display mode. So if I come back out and come back into the team dashboard and hit display mode, you'll see it'll just display whatever I have set up in that. So now when I come to display mode, you're going to have, you can see here, instead of having 5, we have these normal ones, and then in addition to that, I have leaderboards for each of those categories that I had selected there. Any questions about that?
We did, Brian, we did have a couple customers. I know that that the enhancement of removing the lead measures came, obviously from some of our our Realogy customers that really don't track some of those items. But I know me and Zach have had a couple customers that I guess they really haven't introduced any type of accountability culture or, tracking mechanism in the past to capture those. So they also felt like introducing, their team to accountability might be a little bit easier if they don't make them track that information, at least initially. Definitely not the standard practice of most of our customers, but we did have, a number of teams that would fall into that category.
Right. So another example of that would be if you're not having people track on this record screen and they're not tracking anything, although a lot of this can be pulled in from the CRM, but if you don't have any sort of CRM integration, and you are not holding your agents accountable to that, then you might want to choose that other dashboard, as Frank is suggesting, which all of the data that you put in, that's really data that would be put in from your transaction coordinator. And then you would have a full dashboard without any blank screens on that. In that case, you would also want to turn off all the activities on the dashboard. So good point on that, Frank. So something else that we're rolling out right now is we've had a lot of customers request to have a private white label. And so as an add-on, something that you would actually pay for, we've given the ability now, and this is just an example that Frank put together. So this is Agent Homes, and you can see the colors have changed here. You still have your 3 primary colors, and those are whatever you choose. If I come into the dashboard here, you can see you have your team or brokerage logo up here. So it's really designed to be, from your agent's perspective, your own software, which is powered by Sisu, as you see down here. So any questions about that?
I haven't done any testing on that, but my understanding is it does flow down to the app level as well.
Yes,
I haven't tested that, but it does. It even deploys right to your app. So
yeah. So when you come into the dashboard, you can see everything is that. Really, the main thing you're seeing here is a difference in the primary color, but even the colors of the circles here can be customized. So for those of you who feel like, hey, I don't like this temperature based, I want to go red, yellow, and green, you could do that kind of thing if you chose. Let's see. Scope. Any questions about that piece? As far as cost goes, it's a $50 a month add-on to have that if you choose to do that. Okay. So one thing that we've had, jumping back into the regular platform here, we've had several requests from people who have been using the expense form and the commission form. I'm sorry, the commission form. Let's come in here and filter this. And so one of the things that people have asked for is the ability to have a transaction where you send an outbound referral out. Right now, it's actually counting as a transaction within Sisu. So if you don't want that to show up on a dashboard, you could have it show up as 25% credit now, or you could have it show up as no % credit. So if you come into these agent splits, this is where that will happen. And this may not be in beta yet, but it's coming out. So I thought it was. Anyway, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to select outbound referral right here on the agent split. When you select outbound referral on the agent split, you can then, it'll automatically select outbound referral here for you as well. And then you can actually assign out the split credit paid. So you can assign out 100% of that transaction if you choose, which will make it so it doesn't give any credit on the dashboard. You could also assign out 75% on that split, which is going to make it so that you're only having a 25% of a transaction show up on the dashboard for when you do that. Another thing that we are working on, and this, if I come into admin team expenses, a lot of people have asked to be able to add additional expenses outside of just the expenses that are happening in lead sources. So now those expenses are happening. You can go in and add those monthly expenses over here. this is a very early stage, so we're adding things into here still, like being able to select a date range and things like that. But essentially, you go in and you put the date here, you add an expense, and then what happens is if you come into the reports, come into the income report, you can see that expenses are now in this income report if you're tracking them within Sisu. So you actually have your agent income, you have your GCI, then you have your agent income being paid out, you have your expenses going out, which essentially gives you your team income here. We're looking at different ways to position this as far as maybe showing you a gross and then a net. But you can see we have the data giving you the ability to put the data in there, and how we display that, we're still working on that. Any questions about that?
I think that's a big one, Brian. I mean, a lot of people coming over from CTE that were tracking all these kind of expenses in there. You know, the people are using CTE or other spreadsheets at a high level. So this is going to be a really cool one.
Yeah, I think so as well. We've had a lot of people request that. I'm going to come back here actually into this expense form. Because one of the things we've added here is once you certify this for payment, you can now print CDA. We actually had a request this morning come in for being able to track all of the transactions that have been certified for payment. So that's something that we'll be able to add in the filter drawer. But now I can print this out, and now it's really acting as a commission disbursement form. And so you can see when this loads, it's essentially showing everything that's been paid out down here. You can see it's taking off the transaction form stuff on the side here. It also gives you the ability now to email that out if you choose. And this information is not going to show up on there. It's just going to give you this information that's here. So if you want to send that out to your brokerage, or if you are a brokerage and want to keep this as a system of record, you can do that. Let's see, I'm just seeing what else. Oh, something that people have been asking for the last year that we finally added in here is your agents can come in here. I know some people were having problems doing this on their Android because they hadn't updated their software. You can now change your profile picture from here as an agent. So not having to do that from the app anymore. No, that's something very simple, but it's something that a lot of people have asked for.
I think this is cool with the whole profile page. You know, going forward, as you start talking about badges from winning challenges and point totals and your accomplishments, this page will become very cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up, Zach. One of the things here, many of you are probably not familiar with this, but one of the things here is there's a scoreboard here that shows you total contests that have been won per agent. So you can see here if they got first, second, third place, you can see what the challenge was, what the start date and end date was, how many points they got. So this is where you can really come in and see what that agent has earned challenge-wise. Now, if you come into the challenge board and you look at this, you can see this looks like it's clickable. In the very near future, you will be able to click directly in to see that agent's what they've won just tied to this. And this is basically, if you're only searching your active challenges, this would show you where they're placing on the current challenges that have not yet ended. But if I come to expired challenges and want to see that, that's going to be a different number for each of these agents. And if I want to see what those are, I'll be able to click from here directly instead of having to go into challenges and scoreboard.
Yeah, I love this part. You know, when you go back, when I started working at Sisu 2.5 years ago and first starting to talk with Brian about it, I mean, really what he noticed was I have this app on my phone and I go out and do these bike rides and it tracks my time and it compares it to other people and it really keeps me motivated. why can't we do that same thing with real estate? And so this kind of gamification and point values and knowing where you've earned accomplishments, I mean, it's very motivating. And as a salesperson, at least for me, I mean, I'm very motivated in that way as well. So love where this is going. Obviously, I'm a little biased though.
So something that we're not doing here today, which I've used a lot of those athletic gamification apps out there, and really something that we're not doing here that's a big driver for me is personal records, right? So if I just had my best month ever, we want to start giving personal records for stuff like that, and it could be my best listing month. It could be different things, but there will be badges tied to that, points tied to that, and just really allowing me to not only compete against other people on my team, but to compete against myself, always working on self-improvement.
I think we've talked too. I'd be curious to get feedback on this, but it would be cool to have a leaderboard based on percentage of your goal hit. So, you know, some agents should be hitting higher numbers than others, and that could be a cool thing to gamify. I've heard that a few times as well. So I like that.
Yeah, I love that. I just noted that one, Zach. Thanks for that.
We made the notebook.
Hey, Brian, I hopped in a little late. Just making sure. Did you go over the snapshot drop downs?
We did, yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's really what we wanted to cover. Just seeing if there's anything that I missed here. One thing is on this scope thing. So let's go in and talk about groups just so that you guys know how to do that. If you want to create some groups within your team for challenges, this is where you would do that. You would come into this team settings, you would go groups, you add a new group, and you can give it a name here, and you can assign which agent you're going to put on that group here. Now, if there is a leader in that group and somebody who's going to help hold that group accountable for you, so you could just click on that person, make them the team lead, and now by giving them a coaching view, and now they'll be able to go in and view the other people's dashboards within that group. So again, this is a great way to do it, where if you're doing a challenge, you could have the same challenge running for each of these groups, and it will total it out so that you can see who's, it'll show the total scoreboard for each of those groups. Today, we are not yet displaying those two groups who are competing against each other on one screen. So if you want to display those in your office, you would have actually two different screens where those are displayed within your office. And we have people doing that today. We do and are working on and do intend in the near future to be able to have that on one screen, so you can actually have competitions between groups where it's all showing up together instead of showing up on multiple screens. But today you can do it. You're just going to have those challenges and those totaling those point values on two separate screens.
That coach checkbox is new for anyone who's already using the groups. So now when you check that coach box, you'll be able, that agent will be able to see all the agents in that team's dashboard and coach them on it. So.
Yeah, dashboard, snapshot, wig sheet, those types of things.
Sweet.
I think that's it, you guys, unless just we can open it up to questions, unless Zach or Frank, you guys have anything else you wanted to cover.
Well, I'm good. We had some good questions in the chat. If anyone else has something that they want to ask, I did have a question sent to me privately from Shane about pulling in expenses automatically through QuickBooks. And that's been something we've been talking about a lot. So I'm actually meeting with Rick later, and we can talk Zapier and ways that we can get some of that data in, which will be really cool. So
my understanding is that QuickBooks does have an integration with Zapier, so we should be able to do that.
Yep, we just got to build a little action there to actually pull it in, and we'll be good to go. So
maybe, who was it that suggested that?
Shane Taylor.
Shane, so maybe if you want to work with us, you could be like the first one to try that out, and we could work and see how we do that and help you pull that in from Zapier.
It's probably two, Brian, unless it'd be interesting to know, like the customers that want the QuickBooks integration. I'm hoping that most of them are using the QuickBooks Online. solution rather than the QuickBooks desktop solution. I'm hoping that is the case. Desktop solution today can only be installed on a local machine or, ran virtually from QuickBooks.
Right.
So,
why don't you put something out in the Mastermind, Frank, asking about that?
Yeah, that's a good idea. So I'm hoping that's the case. In fact, the Zapiers I've set up with QuickBooks, I don't even know if it even hits the desktop version, but we'll find out. Yeah.
So again, the expense form that we have in here today is pretty basic. We're going to get some feedback from the customers. Actually, I think we'll probably have a beta tag slapped on that and get your feedback on how we can improve that moving forward. But I think that's going to be something that really just enhances your ability to run your entire business from here. Not that we want to be QuickBooks, but we want to be able to visualize what's happening in your QuickBooks. So.
To be able to visualize ROI from a lead generation perspective, as well as just a team perspective in general, that's huge. So you guys are entering uncharted territory, something that the CTE spreadsheet always had hopes and dreams to do, but its format never would materialize to that. So you guys this could be very, very powerful, especially when you have your whole team rallying behind those important KPI numbers that generally only one or two people ever look at. So it's very powerful.
We love your feedback on that and know that you can help us steer this to be even more powerful. One of the things, I don't know if you're using YLOPO or not, but I know a lot of teams are using YLOPO. We're actually, we've been speaking with them and we're talking about bringing in all of their data as well so that you can actually know, and of course they want you to know your ROI from their leads, which is part of why we're working on that integration.
That probably means the ROI is good.
Yeah. We're actually, our integration, we're in the process currently of switching over from Follow Up Boss to Chime, and which is, I didn't think anybody would ever have the ability to pull us away from Follow Up Boss, simply because we have so much written from a back-end API perspective and really leveraging that platform from custom coding. But Chime did it. So I don't know if everybody on this call has looked into Chime, but
yeah, I agree, Shane.
Very compelling, very compelling
platform. Yeah, my wife actually uses it. And I had spoken to it's owned by essentially the equivalent of Facebook for China. And It's an amazing platform and they've really evolved fast, but my wife uses it and it's
incredibly fast. It's something to just toss out there. Yeah. We're going through that now. And there's a dichotomy between the two experiences that we're having. So the solution itself, and I just want to be forthcoming with this, the solution itself is by far, in my opinion, leaps and bounds the best CRM on the market. And that's having, close insight on what KW Command is supposed to be once everything happens and through development. So they're really, Chime is a solid solution, but their sales process, and this ties back into kind of like the Facebook, and there's some Chinese ownership in this. Their sales process and support process is very enterprise, and it just for what that's worth. It's not like you're dealing with Sisu. It's not like you're dealing with Follow Up Boss. It's not like you're dealing with like a small company that does one thing and they do it really well. So we've struggled with that, even though the pricing is good, but the solution is just amazing.
Yeah, that's a great way to echo it, Shane. I mean, they actually set up their operation here in Utah. I mean, they built a sales and success operation in Utah from the ground floor, and 100% agree. It is enterprise level. It's not that, it's not that small, get things done and provide that solution to the customer. But yeah, you're right. As far as the product, it's an amazing product. I mean, the Facebook ads are probably I don't manage a lot of the other CRMs or use them as much as Zach, but from a Facebook purchase of Facebook leads, I think they've done a very good job.
Huge. The Facebook leads, they do something that I have not seen anybody do, like Real Geeks and some of the other platforms that provide, leads out there, and they have a managed services to do it. They're able to create what are dynamic I can't remember the specific name, but they're dynamic ads that when they run their properties on Facebook, somehow it measures which particular properties a particular person interacts with, and it will tailor the subsequent further ads that are placed in front of that person on Facebook based on the type of properties that person was looking at. So it's like individually dynamically targeted ads that change as each person actually updates or actually interacts with the ad. And I don't even think that's something you can do on your own. I think the only way to do that is to I don't know how you would do it just going through the ad manager and building that stuff by hand. I don't know how that would work, but you're spot on. Like, they're way out there.
Yeah, Facebook does allow for dynamic. I mean, I know this conversation is going a little crazy, but they do allow for the dynamic advertising. But I mean, candidly, it's a lot more complex than I think your traditional real estate marketing internal resource would be able to do, and they make it really easy to do that. I wish my wife would use it more. I've now memorialized that my wife wanted to focus more on real estate, but I put that in the recording, and she'll use it in the divorce proceedings.
We'll make sure and send this out to her.
I'll edit it out. I'll edit that part out. Yeah.
But I told Zach that, based on like yesterday's call, I certainly want to take him up on having the Sisu team help us with the integration. Like there's the Boomtown native integration. So we internally have development resources that can utilize Chime API and the Sisu API. But the question is, how much of that should we utilize? Because we don't have a whole lot of experience with Zapier. We just built all of our stuff by APIs. Yeah. So having you guys help out, like you mentioned, Zach, like that, we really appreciate hearing that. You guys, from a customer support perspective, are just, you're a blessing to work with. Like, it's amazing.
Their Zapier is actually pretty good. I mean, from me setting up some things for my wife, and their API is really good. It's like they started the development of their product with knowing that they were going to completely utilize it from an API perspective. So I think there's unlimited possibilities. If you have development resources, they have an extremely robust API. We have a robust API. You're probably going to get a much more, tailored experience if you want to go down that path. But as far as doing something tomorrow and getting it set up, I certainly think that their Zapier would certainly support that. So
and we'll work with Zach on that as we move forward with that. There's some things like the Follow Up Bosses API is a little more robust. There is some things that are missing from Chime just because they try to be the all-encompassing everything solution. But it's great, and we're looking forward to moving with Zach on that.
Well, we're excited to have you, Shane, especially with Chime.
Thank you.
We honestly don't have. I think you're probably the first customer I've heard that says that they are on the Chime platform, and it does surprise me. But I think a lot of that has to do, like you said, they just have a different sales and success experience as far as promoting it and pushing it towards teams.
Yeah. If anybody wants to talk about the Chime platform, I don't know how to volunteer that, but feel free to send anybody, our way on it. We don't have, months and months of using it in production yet. We're in the process of transitioning over. But I'm the personality type that's read their entire documentation site, watched every YouTube video. Like I've dove as deep as I possibly can on the solution and have a really good understanding of the differences between that and Follow Up Boss. So those are the two that I've got experience with. So just putting that out there, I'm more than willing to help anybody in any way I can. I would be honored to help the community out.
Very cool. Thank you, Shane. It's, that's one of the fun things about this business is most of the people in this industry who are really thriving and succeeding are more than happy to share with anybody else. This is how I'm doing it. I'll show you what to do. You just need to go execute now. So Shane, thanks for bringing that up and for sharing. A couple of other things just to let you guys kind of know our focus here in the near future. And we are meeting over the next couple of days to get even more focused on where that should be. But we have some things in some areas where we really want to improve on some of the transaction management side of the business, some of our sheets and being able to customize those, that kind of stuff. We also are highly focused on, hey, how can we make this vendor management experience better, and task management, that kind of stuff. So those are kind of the directions we'll be heading in the very near future as well. So just keep your eyes open for that kind of stuff.
All right, sounds good. Well, I think that was a good discussion, and we'll see you all next week.
Okay, thanks, Zach. Thanks, everyone.
Yep, bye.